Many spiritual seekers stop walking just as the path gets interesting. They don't quit because the terrain is too difficult. They stop because they mistake a rest stop for the finish line. This is the trap of Atmagyan, or self-knowledge. A seeker achieves a deep understanding of their own nature and assumes they have reached the end. In reality, realizing who you are is only the beginning of the journey. Fixed labels like Brahma or supreme knowledge often become obstacles. When a seeker treats these abstract concepts as a concrete finish line, they stop looking at the path ahead. This node labeled self becomes a wall rather than a window. Progress stalls here. The line begins to circle the same realization indefinitely, turning a breakthrough into a closed loop, where the seeker confuses repetition with enlightenment. Moving past this plateau requires challenging the very assumptions that allowed the first summit to be reached. Reevaluating the role of guides, the function of the mind, and the nature of seeking itself. The comfort of spiritual certainty creates a final, impenetrable barrier, stalling the journey at the exact moment it needs to accelerate. Traditional devotion often fixates on the physical presence of the guru, focusing more on the person than the transformation they are supposed to provide. Think of a guru as a doctor for a spiritual illness. You visit them for a cure, not to worship their stethoscope. Effectiveness is the only metric that matters. If a specific treatment isn't resolving your ignorance, you must find a different guide who can. Attachment to the vessel, the physical person, distracts from the water it carries. Seekers often perish of thirst while praising the craftsmanship of the cup. Remaining with an ineffective guide is an act of spiritual self-sabotage. True devotion is measured by your progress toward the truth, not by your loyalty to a person who cannot help you reach it. Much time is wasted debating spiritual hierarchies, arguing over whether the goal is Brahma or Parabrahma. These labels are irrelevant to the process. The internal mechanism of seeking remains identical, regardless of the name you give to the target. The path operates on a rule of relentless motion. Reaching any perceived milestone only reveals how much further the horizon actually extends. You access the truth through forward momentum. Enlightenment is a process of continuous walking, not a victory claimed by planting a flag. Many spiritual teachings frame the human mind as an enemy, a force that must be killed or silenced to reach supreme knowledge. The mind is actually an internal cursor. It is a neutral tool designed to point at objects in your field of awareness. This cursor has no will of its own. It merely hovers over the objects that the user, the soul or jiva, is already drawn to. Supporting the mind is the intellect or buddhi. It acts as the system's software, scanning the objects the cursor touches and evaluating their potential value or risk. The mind and intellect only provide the data. The final click, the actual attachment to an object, is executed entirely by the jiva. You are the one controlling the mouse. Suffering is rooted in the jiva's concept of mine. This sense of possession forces the mental cursor to constantly hunt for external things to claim. Battling the mind redirects your effort toward the symptoms of seeking, leaving the soul's underlying attachments to continue their work in the shadows. When the jiva, the individual soul, finally stops demanding possession over worldly things, the internal state becomes perfectly still. In the absence of worldly desires, the cursor of the mind naturally stops jumping. It rests because the user has stopped looking for something to click on. A true seeker moves with fluidity. They can discard unhelpful methods or move past rigid milestones without hesitation because their loyalty is to the truth, not the process. In this state, the seeker simply follows the evidence of truth, unburdened by the need to arrive at a specific location or uphold a specific dogma. By stripping away all of these external illusions and internal desires, the illusion of the self finally dissolves. Supreme knowledge reveals itself as unattached clarity, a state uncovered only when the final layers of internal desire and external illusion are stripped away.